start, you can.
Well, I'm Mark. I'm 22 years old, almost 23, just a few months. And well, currently I'm having a gap year, but I also study at the VDKA, the fashion department.
Alright.
Yeah.
So when did you find out that your the body you were born into did not match your identity?
For me, when I was actually pretty young, I kind of already felt like this isn't what it's supposed to be, and I confronted, like I talked with a friend from like elementary school, but I got a really bad reaction from her. But like we were 8 years old, so you're children. So if you suddenly come up to an 8-year-old like, oh no, I think I'm a boy, that's not gonna go well.
Yeah,
but
but
for down, and then when I was around 16, I think it started developing again, because you're developing yourself, and I just kept being unhappy about my body, but I didn't know why I was unhappy about my body, because I was skinny. So people were like, oh no, but you're thin. And I'm like, no, but I like it. And then like naturally with going, I think the first time I knew about trends was when I watching a Dutch television program, The Reunion, about old classmates coming together, and there was a trans person in there, and then I was like, oh, this is a thing. But then it took me another 4 years before I felt comfortable confronting my parents about it and researching it online, like what is this even.
And how did your parents and friends react when you came out?
My friends kind of knew it before I knew it, but a lot of my friends, I have a very special friend group where nobody is straight. I have a lot of like other trans friends, so they already kind of saw the signs before I saw them. And when I confronted my mom about it, it was kind of in a special way, because she told me about an old friend of my brother who turned out to be trans. He told me about that in the car, and that was for me a gateway to tell my mom, like, hey, I kind of feel like that too. And then we both, like together with my mom, I told my dad, and he also was completely fine with it. He felt more guilty that he didn't know beforehand, and that I had to struggle with it for so long, than that he was like, oh no, can't be trans. He was just sad that he couldn't help me. So this is, for what I think, a very special situation, because mostly people who have religious parents, it's difficult to tell them. But my father has always been very open to the whole LGBT community, so I already knew I wouldn't have to worry by telling my parents, but it was more like I didn't want to hurt my parents.
Because was your dad still working in the church? Like, what did he do?
He's, I don't really know the English. I think the English were just deacon. He, from the start, he's also like, oh, God makes mistakes too. So, yeah.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm blessed with my parents.
Yeah.
And did you also get some negative reactions? Maybe not from like your family or friends, but from just people in high school or like the school you were in?
For me, I haven't got a single negative reaction from anybody yet, but it's also like the people I surrounded myself with were all very open. I don't have any contact with anybody from like elementary school or high school, so I already kind of got people who would be potentially toxic out before I knew they could be toxic, because I just surrounded myself with open, accepting people.
Because you also grew up in a very small village, right?
A very small religious village, but it's very open. I experienced, like, if I would say negativity about like bedroom situations in my village and surrounding villages, I've never had any issues or problems with it, but moving to the city, I feel more negativity.
But do you feel like you get judged more here? Or that you feel like people are staring at you
I think,
more?
yeah, people are staring more here than in my hometown.
How was it like to change your body and like your clothing and then finally becoming yourself? How?
For me, it was a very long process. I've always been kind of like a tomboy. I never really wore dresses or anything, and it just generally from like middle school to like my MBO, I just kind of like I kept dressing more and more manly, to the point where I was already wearing full boy clothes before I came out. and I came out during my senior year of my MBO, and it just, for me, the waiting time, well, it was long, but not as long as it is now to go to the FMC. For me, it was half a year. So in that half a year, I already told everybody, like I told my friends, I told my family, I told my school, everything was already set. So my whole transition in the food went pretty fast because the whole social transition that you have to do, I already did it. So my conversation, I think I had like 6 psychologist talks before I could start my hormones. So it was, with the hormones I started with the gel, and that's a really easy, you're doing it every day, and I think my whole transition has been so easy. I've never had any issues with mood swings or anything, what a lot of other people do have. The only thing that I noticed is that in the first weeks you gain a lot of weight.
You also tell how clothing affected your transition?
I felt more and more, I know that, like, when I first come out, I only wear shirts, like the bottom-up shirts. But the longer I was on hormones, the more comfortable I felt again wearing more alternative clothing. So I still have a lot of, like, female clothing in my closet, but I've stopped caring about where I buy my clothing because I am small. I'm not very tall, so most of my clothing in the men's department, it will be way too big for me.
Yeah.
So I kind of shop in the in-between, like, more neutral clothing styles.
And where is like this neutral? Where do you find neutral? Like, how do you define neutral clothing for you?
I don't really look at the sections anymore.
Okay.
I just, if I walk into the Primark and I see a shirt that I really like and it happens to be at the female department,
Yeah.
I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
I also still buy a lot of clothes at Monkey because I think they have a nice style.
But do you also kind of have like, because first you bought clothing that made you feel more manly, but is it also that you don't do that anymore because you're way more comfortable in your body?
Yeah.
Can you also tell something about the underwear? Like if you kind of also transitioned in your underwear?
A bit. The first pairs of underwear I bought that were more manly underwear were like the cheapest ones you could get at Primark. Just to try it out, and they were really uncomfortable. But I know that Primark underwear is not... should not buy it. But I do prefer boxers. The moment I started wearing boxers, I was like, oh, this is so much more comfortable than any of the female underwear I used to wear.
Yeah, do you have like a specific moment in a day or week or just life in general that was really vulnerable to you, that you felt really uncomfortable? Like for example, dressing up or like changing clothes when you went to the gym or something?
I used to. Ever since surgery, I don't have the vulnerable moments anymore. But I knew that when I was still wearing my binder, I would not go outside without it. Ever since I don't have the limits of wearing a binder, and I can just freely, like, wake up, put on a shirt, and go out, I don't feel uncomfortable anymore.
Nice to hear. You look beautiful, Mark. Do you think major brands are dealing with inclusiveness and stuff?
Some are trying more, but not enough. It's just fair.
Yeah. And is there something like in particular that you miss, like a certain clothing piece or?
It's not really clothing pieces, but more the representations of the models. I think that you can see that the clothing is for everybody, and that's not just one campaign, but just always that it's as natural as that you have a women's line and male line. That you also have trans models, or just that it's mixed up.
Yeah.
That everybody feels included.
I agree.
Yeah.
We both.
True. Yeah. I really think that with like inclusiveness, it really starts with visual representation.
Yeah.
We're still doing the same things we were doing before, but like the world is going towards another different view. So we as creatives, we as visual artists, we need to change those visuals, and they have to be like more inclusive for sure. because new generation won't recognize themselves.
If a brand has used trans models, kind of how the trans models were.
I haven't really seen a lot of brands use them. I think it's the main issue. If they use them, that's good. But it needs to be not like, oh, we have a trans model, but it needs to be normal.
Yeah.
That it's not like, oh, we're such a good brand because we use trans models, but that
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't need a whole announcement.
No.
It just has to be natural, like, oh, they're just models,
Yeah.
just people, and not
Yeah.
some special kind of
Mm-hmm.
being.
Mm-hmm.
Like lists, if you have to like check off
Yeah.
what you are. I always have the issue if they post the option like I'm male cis and male trans, because I just identify as male, not specifically male trans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But some people do, but for me I don't always need to have the box like, oh, I'm trans
Yeah.
next to it.
Because we also talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, when do you kind of delete the trans
Yeah.
word, you know? Because of course it's a very important
Yeah.
like decision and moment in your life, but you're as much a man or or a woman
As
as the other
other,
ones.
Yeah.
as
So,
a cis.
Mm.
I think that from one side, I think you shouldn't do that. But on the other side, if someone asks, I think in a way it's like so valuable for others that maybe are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Like the one that you said in the TV show that you saw this person that he went through the transitioning, and to you just was a wake up call. And people that go through this kind of experiences, they just to me they have something that is so valuable for others to be able to share it and to understand and to also create more openness. So that's something that is valuable, but at the same time, once you transition it fully and you're like, okay, you're male, so that you're a male, but what has been before, it shouldn't be erased, but at the
Yeah.
same time you shouldn't be defined by it.
mm-hmm.
So how would you feel if the clothing store would have a gender neutral section?
I would be very comfortable with it.
You
It's-
would or you wouldn't?
I would.
Yeah.
Because I don't look personally anymore, but
Yeah.
it's also like it's more the people who are also in the store. They will look at you a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like, why is that person go to that section or that
Yeah,
section? And
yeah.
if you just have a neutral section,
Yeah, then everybody's
nobody
welcome.
cares.
Yeah.
And it's also easier for people who are beginning in their transition, because
Yeah.
then it's like a very big step. Oh, like, oh, I'm going to the male section for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah.
But if you have like that option of a neutral,
Yeah.
that would be way more comfortable.
And I mean, I personally buy men's shirts. They fit me
Yeah.
better.
I also know a lot of people would just buy men's pants because the pockets are bigger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, cause we now we go more into the technical part because you're also a designer, fashion designer. So we're thinking about the design, and we're talking today like, oh, should it be one piece of clothing that everybody could wear, or should it be more like piece of clothing that fit certain necessity of, for example, transitioning people? What do you think?
But I
would be-
think the
we were just brainstorming, so maybe your
Yeah.
opinion.
But I
would
think
help
the
us.
most important thing for us is how we can respect the
Yeah.
trans community,
Yeah, that for
but
sure.
then also kind of make it like not really provocative, but not like in a very extreme way, but just
Yeah.
to raise awareness.
Yeah.
If you have like any tips to.
I think like a small collection would be better than just one piece, because
Okay.
then you can include multiple styles.
Yeah.
And I think it would be better that you make something which would kind of shape the body in the way you would want it to be.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay. It's a neutral shape, for
yeah,
example.
neutral shapes.
Okay. That's interesting. That's good
Like-
insight.
On those kinds of things. That's a whole
That's
other
also something
discussion.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's a wrap.
Ti ho chiamato per dirti che